RNC Chairman Michael Whatley. Chairman, so great to have you with us in studio.
Good morning.
Good morning. So this is a little bit of a different take because typically presidents, vice presidents, they don't serve in the ranks of their party's committee. Talk to us more about this decision.
Well, we're very excited. Obviously, J.D. Vance is a huge draw. The vice president has been very popular all across the country. One of the things that we wanted to do is to make sure that we are communicating to everybody how close the RNC is going to work with the White House, work with the Trump administration. And our priority in these midterms is to make sure that we're going to keep those majorities so that Congress is going to continue to work on implementing President Trump's vision for America. And this gives us a great leg up. We are very, very excited that the vice president has agreed to step into this important role.
And you mentioned the midterms. Obviously, the priority is to keep the majority, but also expand it as well. I know you guys are already looking at specific districts who maybe voted for Kamala the last go around, but now they're kind of in that purple area where you see that they could be flipped. How is that work going?
Well, the Republican Party is playing offense, right? I mean, and what we saw in the last election cycle was we won all 7 battleground states. We moved states like New York, New Jersey, California closer to the president. When we look at the congressional map, we look at the Senate map, we're going to have to play offense again, right? These are not just traditional Republican states, but we've got great pickup opportunities in places like New Hampshire and Georgia, Michigan, right? So we've got a great map. In terms of the Senate, we've got opportunities across the country for the House. And so the NRCC, the Congressional Campaign Committee for the House, and us at the RNC, we're going to work hand in glove with all of those candidates to make sure that they have the resources they need to be able to get across the line.
Yeah, you mentioned Michigan. Satuda Dixon is floating a run for, either governor or Senate in her state. Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Senators Alyssa Slotkin and Gary Peters currently in those seats. They're obviously very progressive Democrats in this key battleground. How do you see this playing out?
Michigan is going to be one of the most important swing states in this entire election, really, along with Georgia. We've got a few others. But when you think about where we were in Michigan, it was one of the closest states in the entire presidential race. We won by less than a point with President Trump. We lost that Senate race by 18,000 votes. So I think, Michigan is very ready to turn red. We need to make sure that we're going to continue our efforts to get election integrity in place there. We're going to need to make sure that we continue to register the Republicans. But most importantly, we've got to continue to be the party of common sense. As long as the Democrats up there and around the country are going to continue to double down on the policies that lost this election cycle, and that they're really, truly why they're at 20% approval rating right now, then we're going to have a common sense candidate both for the governor's race and for the Senate race and key congressional races up in Michigan. I feel very good about that state.
Yeah, and you mentioned Georgia as well, and we know that Georgia obviously voted for Trump, and we're seeing more and more Republicans be elected into office in the state of Georgia, and I think it goes back to that common sense. This is the state where Laken Riley was tragically murdered. What are you hearing from people in Georgia when it comes to the upcoming midterms?
What we're hearing right now is people are very happy with what they see coming out of Washington, coming out of the Trump administration.
Yeah.
The fact that he's actually doing what he campaigned on. He said that he was going to protect our southern border. Boom. Right. All of a sudden, we have all of the numbers are fantastic. Turns out we didn't need new laws. We just needed a different president. Right. Our communities are going to be safer. Our economy is going to be stronger. We are going to be stronger on a national stage. That's what people voted for. So I think that that's going to be very valuable for the Republicans across the country, up and down the ticket as we go into the 26 midterms.
You mentioned registering more Republicans. And if you look at the Democratic Party, they're pretty broken right now. They're divided. They're broken. And a lot of the members are doing the things the reason why they lost, and they're doubling down on that. So do you see a chance for even more people to turn, maybe independents, to say, you know what, I'm voting Republican. I voted Democrat, or I was independent. I'm moving right over because I'm sick of seeing this far left agenda.
Yeah, we see it in every state. We see it all across the country right now that voters are leaving the Democratic Party in droves, right? And as long as they're going to be a party that is going to focus on open borders, they're going to focus on not deporting criminal, violent, illegal aliens, if they're going to be the ones that want inflationary spending in a poor economy and a weak America, they're going to continue to lose voters. They're going to continue to lose elections. On the Republican side, as President Trump has said over and over and over again, we are going to be the party of common sense. We are going to be a party for a strong America. We're going to have strong borders. We're going to have a strong economy, and we're going to have a strong standing in the world. That's where America wants to be.
Information. Truth. is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.